Now we're ready to start lesson 2. The first step will be to calibrate. So the lead should be attached correctly to the participant's dominant forearm, and we're going to go ahead and click calibrate. Then an option will come up and to click OK, and just make sure before you click OK that the dynamometer is sitting without anyone touching it on the table. Once you click OK, it'll give you the option of having the participant grip the dynamometer in their hand. Now it's okay for the participant to pick up the dynamometer in the proper grip position. Once it's in the right position, the participant can start the calibration. So you can click OK, and you're going to wait 2 seconds on the x-axis, and then the participant will grip the dynamometer as hard as they can with their dominant forearm for 2 seconds, release the dynamometer, and wait until the calibration is complete. It'll look like this. Grip for 2 seconds, release, and wait till it's finished. In addition to recording the millivolts associated with the clench of the participant, the calibration also recorded the clench force measured in kilograms of the participant's clench. This will allow the program to assign an increment in kilograms to the participant based on their clench force. And we'll see why this is important in just a minute. To continue to the actual data collection, just click continue, or if you need to redo the calibration, you can also click redo. Clicking continue will not start the recording automatically, so you can go ahead and click it now. In this set of data collection, it's going to be very similar to lesson 1. The only difference is that the participant will be clenching the dynamometer for all the data collection in lesson 2, and the increment in kilograms assigned to the participant based on their clench strength will be the increment by which they increase their clench force with each increasing cycle of clenches. So for example, this participant was assigned 5 kilograms of force based on their calibration. If they were a little stronger, they might have been assigned 10 kilograms. That means that once you press record, the participant will wait for 2 seconds on the x-axis, then squeeze the dynamometer up to an increment of 5 kilograms for 2 seconds with the dominant forearm. Release for 2 seconds, and then increase by another 5 kilograms up to 10 kilograms for 2 seconds, and then release the dynamometer. Increase by another 5, reaching 15 kilograms for 2 seconds, release for 2 seconds, and then finally increase by another 5 kilograms, reaching 20 kilograms and for 2 seconds, and then releasing, and then click suspend. And it'll look something like this. When you click record, participant will wait for 2 seconds, go to 5 kilograms, release for 2 seconds, go to 10 kilograms, release for 2 seconds, 15 kilograms, and release for 2 seconds, and then reach 20 kilograms, and then click suspend. Now you're done recording the data for the first part of the dominant forearm. Now we're going to go to the second part of the data recording, and it's important to note that the leads will stay on the dominant forearm for this next part and not switch to the non-dominant forearm. When your group is ready, you can click continue, and what's going to happen here is the participant will grip the dynamometer in their dominant forearm, and they're going to clench the dynamometer as hard as they can once the group clicks resume. Once the recording starts, they'll click the dynamometer as hard as they can. The group and the participant will take note of exactly how much force is the maximum clench force for that participant. Let's say the maximum clench force reaches a peak of 20. The participant will still clench the dynamometer as hard as they can, but due to fatigue, the force will decrease. Once the force decreases to half the amount of the original maximum clench force, then the participant can release the dynamometer. So if the maximum clench force at the beginning was 20, the participant will continue clenching the dynamometer until the fatigue force reaches around 10, and then they can release. And it'll look something like this. Click resume, and let the recording start. Reach a peak of a certain force, let's say 20. Keep gripping the dynamometer in the dominant forearm as hard as you can until you reach half of the maximum clench force. And press suspend. Now you're done all the recording segments for the dominant arm, and you're ready to move on to recording the data for the non-dominant arm. So while your recording is suspended, switch the leads from the dominant arm to the participant's non-dominant arm. And when you're ready, click continue. When you click continue, you'll get to a section that's for the non-dominant forearm, and you're going to continue the entire course for the non-dominant arm as you did for the dominant arm. Once you click resume, you're going to let the recording start and have the participant grip the dynamometer so that they reach the clench force of 5 kilograms in this case, or whatever the increment that was given to your group. Then release for 2 seconds. Clench till the second increment for 2 seconds with the non-dominant arm. Release for 2 seconds. Clench a third time with the non-dominant arm to increase an increment one more time, and then release for 2 seconds and increase to the fourth increment on the fourth clench with the non-dominant arm, and then release the dynamometer and click suspend. It'll look something like this. Click resume, let the recording start, go to the first increment with the non-dominant arm, release, go to the second increment with the non-dominant arm, release, go to the third increment with the non-dominant arm, and then go to the fourth increment. The non-dominant arm, release, and click suspend. Now that you're done recording the first part of the data for the non-dominant arm, you're ready to go to the second part. Keep the leads attached to the non-dominant arm. And once you're ready, you're going to click continue, and it'll take you to the next segment. What you're going to do is the same exact thing as you did for the dominant arm. You're going to click resume and then have the participant clench the dynamometer as hard as they can until they reach the maximum clench force, and maintain that clench force until their fatigue forces them to reach a clench force that is half the amount of their original clench force. So for example, if their maximum clench force reached a peak at 20 kilograms, although it'll be different for everyone, then the participant will continue clenching as strong as they can until their fatigue causes their maximum clench force to decrease to half their maximum clench force, which in this case would be to 10 kilograms. And it'll look like this. Maximum clench force, keep clenching the dynamometer as hard as you can until you reach half of the maximum clench force, release, and click suspend. Now that you're done recording the data for both the dominant and non-dominant forearms, you're ready to do the data analysis. When you're finished recording, you can click stop and then click yes to move on. When you click yes, you'll get the option of listening to your data, and I recommend that you do not listen to your data because in the past students have listened to their data and then lost all their data right after listening to it, or they've had to spend a lot of time going back to get it. So since it's not required to listen for your lab, I suggest that you move on by clicking Done in the top left corner. And that'll take you to another box, and select Analyze Current Data File and click OK. And now you're ready to analyze your data. In this data analysis, you're going to have to set 4 channels at the top of the screen. The first one should have 41 in the little box and mean in the bigger box next to it. And the next box should say 40 in the little box and mean in the box next to that. The third channel should read 41 and value in the box next to that. And the last channel should read 40 and delta T in the box next to that, and they all correspond to data that you'll be recording and writing down on your data sheets. So make sure to go ahead and click the I-beam at the right of your screen, and then you're going to start highlighting the clenches on the screen. And you're going to see different values in the different channels, and just make sure to highlight all the clenches for both the dominant and non-dominant forearm. And when you do each of the highlights, you'll just look at the different channels and record any data that's required of you on your worksheet. Now you're done analyzing the data from the first segment of forearm 1 and forearm 2 in lesson 2. And now you're ready to move on to analyzing the data in the second segment for both of the forearms. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your cursor and put it on what looks to be the highest point in the maximum clench force segment. So you're going to place your cursor on that point that you think is the highest, and you're going to record the value that you can find in channel 3. So let's say the value here is 20.211357 kilograms. So whatever your value is, you're going to write it down, and you're going to divide it by 2 to find 50% of that value. Then you're going to go to the 50% value, and you're going to find it on the slope with the cursor by looking at the value channel. So if half of 20 is 10, then you're going to drag the cursor from the maximum clench value to 50%, so around 10, and you're going to stop there. And then once you have the segment highlighted that is from the highest maximum clench value to the 50% of the maximum clench value, you'll have another value in the delta T channel, which will tell you the amount of time it took for that forearm to fatigue. And in this case, it is 10 seconds, and you record all these results on your data sheet. And once you are done recording and calculating both forearms' maximum clench force and fatigue time, then you're done recording all your data and analyzing all your data for both lesson 1 and lesson 2, and you're done with those lessons.